Hello everyone, this is the Jeff Cowan coming to you from thejeffcowan.com. Thank you for returning to my weekly podcast entitled Success in Professional Sales and Life in General. Thank you for coming back and bringing your friends. Boy, our audience is growing. I say that every week, but it just keeps growing and I'm loving it. Loving it. And again, I talk to my social media people and they say we're ranking as high as the highest people in my field out there. So this is great. This is great, good news. And I think it's good news, and I think it's great, and I think it's happening because I'm bringing you the information you need to hear to be the absolute best professional salesperson you can be. And if that's you, you want to maximize your opportunity, keep listening. Now, you remember last week, in the podcast, we talked about what to do when you get a customer that ghosts you. And you'll remember when we talked about ghosting, it was somebody that you made a presentation to, they were all excited, and then they just disappeared. They stopped responding to you, they wouldn't respond to your telephone calls, emails, and the like, and we gave you the solution for that. Well, I tell you what, I was really overwhelmed this week on the number of phone calls, emails, and texts I got from you, the listeners out there and the viewers out there, telling me that you tried it and it worked and your percentages were about the same as mine, that you got about 7 out of 10 of these people to turn around and say yes to your product when you couldn't even get them on the phone before. But in talking to you, I also had many of you say, well, that's great if somebody ghosts you. What about if you have a customer that they don't ghost you, but they just lead you on? Meaning, they keep telling you that it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and coming. You know what I mean? Well, let's talk about it. It kind of takes me back to when I first met my first wife. Now, I don't want to get sappy with you here, but here's the facts. First date I went on with her, I knew. First date I went on with her, she knew. I mean, it was literally one of those things you read about in fairy tales and see in the movies. It was love at first sight. We just knew. As a matter of fact, I was so excited about it and at the same time so frightened out of my mind because it was so right. I literally halfway through the dinner had to go to the restroom and I disappeared for about 10 minutes because I had an anxiety attack. I didn't want to screw it up, right? Well, we got along great. You know, the first 6 months was great. The first year was great. And during that time, we knew that we were the right one for each other. And we had brief conversations about what we were going to do, you know, about marriage and how we wanted to work our lives and spend our lives and all that stuff, but we really never had any hardcore plans. Well, that not only went on for 6 months and not just for a year, but went on to a second year and a third year, and everything's going along fine, and I can see us spending our life together. But I come off of a trip one time because we had a bit of a long-distance relationship at the time. She was living in California, I was living in Indianapolis, and I came out here whenever I could. But I came out here, and she said she needs to talk to me. She's got something serious to discuss. And so me being, do-de-do dumb, she sits me down and she says, look, I love you. I love you with all my heart. And I really believe I could spend the rest of my life with you and be the happiest person on the planet. And you've told me you felt the same way about me. We've talked briefly about what we want to do. We both said we wanted to be married. I definitely want to be married again. That's how I want to live my life. That's the situation I want to be in. But you're not making any moves. So I just want to talk to you and see, are you really serious about doing that? Because if you are, great. All right, if you're not, that's okay. I just need to know. But if we are going to move forward, when are we moving forward? What's that going to look like and the like? Because I need to see some movement here. If you've decided marriage isn't what you want, then that's okay. I don't have anybody that I want to go see. There's nobody that I want to date. But I do want to be married to somebody, and if it's not going to be you, then I'd be open to dating other people just because that's what I want in my life. Well, I'm convinced, had she not had that phone call, or not phone call, but had not had that face-to-face conversation with me, we'd probably still be walking around just Jeff and Candy that date each other and have a happy life, you know what I mean? But what it did is it told me exactly where she stood. It was time to make a decision. Was I going to marry her or not? That's the first question. I was. So then when, okay? And what was that going to look like? Because had she not had that conversation with me, I probably would have drug it out, like I said. But once she had that conversation, I knew she was serious because I knew her well enough. And I sat down, I talked to her the very next week and said, I went ready to move forward. Let's talk about some dates. Let's talk about what this thing's going to look like, and let's go live life. We did it. We've never been happier. But I'm convinced that wouldn't have happened had she not had that conversation. So what does that have to do with today's podcast? Well, again, you get a customer. Kind of the same thing. You know, you meet them, you fall in love with each other. They like you because they like what you do. They like your products. They like what you have to offer. You like them because they told you they like you. They like your products, what it has to offer. And they've even told you they're going to move forward. And so you send them all the samples. You send them the references. You send them the agreements. Everything checks out. They tell you they're going to send the agreement back tomorrow. You don't get it. You call them up, they're going to send it in a couple of days, you don't get it. And so this goes on and on and on, because there's always something happening. They didn't have the time, it was sitting on their desk, the CFO wasn't in, the person that makes the decision, the one that writes the check, it just goes on and on and on. They're leading you on. So How do you stop that cold in its tracks right now? Well, there's a couple of ways to do it, and I'm going to share with you what those are in a second. But first, I want to tell you about these two books. Two books here. One's called Right Service, Write Your Own Paycheck. You know, it's that time of year where we got a lot of people graduating, especially, you know, and a lot of people graduating that don't have any career path. You know, some of those are coming right out of high school, don't know what they want to do. They're not going to college. Some people are coming out of college and didn't like what they studied, or they don't have a job or whatever. That would be a great book for them. It's a book that will show them how to go out and get a sales job in an industry that will afford them the opportunity to make on average $65,000 a year their first year, okay? And you're saying a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old can do that. I've seen many, many do that. There's 30,000 of those jobs open right now, by the way. There's also a video program that comes with it if you really want to step up and get them that. And 20% of the people doing that job make $100,000 a year within just a couple of years of starting the position. So this might be a great book for them. One that's good for any graduate of any kind, even if they have a job they're going to, and even though they have their career path planned out, or anybody listening to this, or anybody in sales, or just life in general, is this book, What I've Learned from Attending Over 35 Indy 500s, Lessons in Sales, Motivation, Leadership Management, and again, Life in General. Great book. It's doing very, very well. We're a lot of fun stuff happening around that book. You can get either one of these at thejeffcowan.com or on Amazon.com in hardcover, softcover. You can get them for your tablets. The Indy book, and there soon will be an audiobook version of it. Here's what I want you to do. In fact, just do this right now. Just put me on pause. Go to Amazon, buy the books. Go to thejeffcowan.com, buy the books, and then come back. All right, so now you're back. All right, so let's get back into this. So we were talking about what happens when a customer, you get them, they're all excited about you, they tell you they like the product, they've checked your references, they use the sample, they're ready to sign, ready to give you the agreement, but the agreement never comes in. It was supposed to come in tomorrow, and so-and-so wasn't there, and it's supposed to come in next week, and so-and-so. So this just goes on and on and on. They just didn't seem to make a decision. Well, there's a couple of things you can do. And here's the primary one. Either one of these methods you take here, it all falls under the same category, and here's what it is. You're going to send them a divorce letter. You're going to email them a divorce email. You're going to call them and tell them you're divorcing them. All right? So what are you going to do? Well, in that email, since now that's how we do it most of the time here, you're basically just going to start it out and say, hey, you know what? I just want to let you know that I'm sorry I was not able to make you, get you excited about my product as much as I had. I'm sorry that I didn't show you all the benefits. I'm sorry that you don't want to move forward. I'm sorry that this keeps getting held up, because I thought after talking to you, you'd see the immediate benefits of what's going on and you'd want this thing to happen, but for whatever reason, it hasn't happened. So I apologize for that. That being the case, I feel like I've turned into a bit of somebody's trying to be pushy here, and that's the last thing I want to be. A pest. I've turned into a bit of a pest, and I don't want to be a pest. So that being the case, here's what I'm going to do. In the position I have, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop following up on you. I'm going to stop calling you. I'm going to stop pestering you, and I'm going to leave you alone. I'm going to put your name in the back of on a file, and I'll call you back maybe in 6 to 12 months or whatever appropriate time frame you think it is, 6 to 12 months, and we'll see where you stand there. All right? So you can do that. Or you can take a more direct approach, depending on the personality of the person, and send them a divorce letter that says something more along these lines. Hey, we met a few weeks ago, a few months ago, half a year ago, whatever it was. You said you were all excited about my product. You said it was the product. You said you saw the benefits. You had to have it. You wanted samples. I sent you those. You wanted a trial. You did the trial. You loved it even more. You checked our references. Everything checked out. And you keep saying you're going to send it, you're going to send it, you're going to send it, and you don't. Okay? And so here's where we are. Number one, I don't want to be a pest, so I'm not going to follow up on you anymore. I'm going to take you off my list. I'm going to call you maybe once every 6 to 12 months and see where you are. I'm in a position where I only have time to make so many contacts a day, and I've got to be in contact with people who are serious about getting the product and getting the product today. So when you all of a sudden stop getting phone calls and emails and texts from me, know that I've not given up on you. It's just simply that I'm not going to call you for 6 months. In the meantime, you have any questions, anything you want me to know, or any concerns, you're ready to go, give me a call. Otherwise, you won't hear from me for 6 months. So you can take that direct approach. And that direct approach, by the way, is the one I use the most. It seems to be the most effective. Okay, now, here's what's going to happen. When you do that, the least likely email you're going to get back is going to be one that says, okay, do that. Just give me a call in 6 to 12 months. The timing's off. It won't work. And so some people say, well, why would I send them an email that's going to provoke them to call back and say, yeah, don't call me for 6 to 12 months? Because now you know where you stand. Instead of wasting that precious several minutes every day making that phone call to them when they don't pick up and they lie to you, or you have a 20-minute conversation and they lie to you, or sending that email, or doing whatever it is you got to do, now you can direct all that attention and energy towards somebody who really wants to buy. Because see, some of these people, they lead you on because they think it's funny. You say, people don't do that. It's professional. Yes, they do. They think it's funny to string you along. Some people just don't know how to tell you no. Some people are so busy, they don't really, or life changed or whatever. So, but now, if they say, okay, do that. Call me in 6 months, we'll see where we are. Now I know I'm not wasting my time chasing somebody who's not ready to go. But they also might say, do this. No, call me. I know I've been dragging this out for the last several days, several weeks, several months. I really want to do this. Don't do that. Call me today. I got a credit card ready to go. So now you got a deal. Or they will give you an objection that you can handle, that you can close on and get the deal, or a reason for the delay. Because many times I think people, their heart's in the right place and they want to move forward, but life happens. Other things in their business takes priority. There's changes in personnel or whatever it will be. So by sending out this divorce letter, whether it's the more softer approach, I'm sorry I didn't do what I was supposed to do and I didn't get you excited and you don't want to move forward, so I'm going to quit being a pest and calling you, or the more direct approach, hey look, you keep stringing me on, I don't have time for this anymore, you don't want to do it, that's fine, I'll call you in 6 months because I can only make so many phone calls and I've got to contact people who want to buy, and right now it appears like you don't. Either way you go, again, you're going to get one of those 3 responses. They're going to tell you that do that, don't call me for 6 months, now you know what you're dealing with. Or, no, call me right now, I'm ready, you got a deal, that's going to happen the lion's share of the time. Or they're going to give the objection or the reason for their delay, and you still end up getting the deal. So if these people are stringing you on, this is the way to stop it. It worked with my wife because my wife was smart enough to know, she knew my personality, she knew how things were going, that if she didn't sit down and say, okay, draw a line in the sand, Jeffrey, we're either going to get married or we're not. And if we are, when's that going to be? What's it going to look like? When's it going to happen? If we're not, well, then here's my plans moving forward. It got me to act. It got an immediate response. And I've done the same thing with literally hundreds of customers over the past. And it's done the same thing for me. It got them off the decision pod and got them to make a decision. Most of the times it's a decision I want to hear. They move forward. Sometimes it's not. But either way, I know exactly where I stand, so I can put my energy where it needs to be. And it needs to be with people who are buying my product today. Same place your needs to be. Your attention and your energy needs to go. So people are going to buy today. Don't let them string you along. All right? So that's this week's message. My name is Jeff Cowan. I'm coming to you from thejeffcowan.com with my weekly podcast entitled Success in Professional Sales and Life in General. I appreciate you listening. I'd even appreciate more if you buy one of these books. Matter of fact, call up and buy a bunch of these books. That would make me really happy. But whether you do that or not, just come back next week. And in the meantime, here's what I want you to do. The same thing I ask you to do every week. Go out and find as many prospects as you can. You show them your product. You get them excited about your product. You get them to say yes to your product and not lead you on. Get them to say yes today. And then what you're going to do by getting them to say yes today, you've closed that deal, you're going to get the commission, and now you have the money to live the life you deserve. You know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do between now and next week, and I want you to do it. I'm telling you, I'm being up front here, I'm being sincere. I want you to do the same thing. It's fun. I'm doing it right now. It's great. Have fun with your life. Enjoy it. Buy the book. I'll see you next week.